Let's talk about Dan Houston's suspension. So by now, we've all seen the footage of what happened between Dan Houston and Lockie Fogarty in the second quarter. If you haven't, it's playing up one of these ways right now. And over the last few hours, the AFL and the MRO have come out and said Dan Houston will be banned for 2 weeks. Now, they've graded it as careless conduct, high impact, and high contact, and given it 2 weeks. Thank our lucky stars, and Houston's lucky stars and Collingwood's lucky stars, that Fogarty came back on, passed the concussion test, and he was able to play. If he had gotten concussed, I think you would have probably been looking at 4 to 5 weeks. Dan Houston did leave the ground, did brace, but in saying all that, this is what Dan Houston said directly after the game to Mitch Cleary from 7 AFL.
There was an incident in the first half where you collected Lockie Fogarty high. Was that playing on your mind in the second half at all?
No, it wasn't actually. I thought I had a fair play on the ball, and obviously I've gone to protect myself, and those things happen. And yeah, I didn't actually realise it happened until you mentioned it. I was fully focused on the team.
So Houston says that he thought he had fair play on the ball and then he turned to protect himself. I think what gets him is the jumping and turning, and the ball doesn't really come near him. And I'm not arguing that he shouldn't get suspended, because that is a suspendable offence, and that's what we're trying to stamp out of our game. 2 weeks though, I think it's a fair call, but I still believe that the MRO is just a little bit, just how's it going still? You know what I mean? Like, it's still just a shot in the dark and seeing what sort of sticks. Because if that gets 2 weeks and then that push by Mansell gets 3 weeks, but remember, it's 3 weeks because it's a concussion. So are they judging it via outcome and the impact that the outcome has, or are they judging it by, you know, what actually happens in the process? So the impact, right? Is it outcome or impact? Is that right? Outcome or impact? You know what I'm trying to say, right? You know what I'm trying to say. So if that is if Fogarty is concussed, that's at least, yeah, like I said, 4 to 5 weeks. Now, what does that mean for Houston and Collingwood? Now, Houston will miss the Sydney game and the Brisbane game, so he won't be going over to Gather Round, and then he won't be in the Gabba for Easter Thursday, so that's going to be a huge clash, and we're absolutely going to miss him. Now, you saw what happened when we didn't have Houston in opening round. Our backline went to shambles, and we're just finally starting to function as a backline because, like I said in an earlier video, we've been training with Houston all summer, and we're starting to see how we work with him, and now we get him taken out for 2 days. He definitely probably has to kind of stamp this out of his game, but again, you know, like he says, it's a hard game to play, and thankfully Fogarty wasn't concussed, because we would have had a different conversation right now. But it's just that split second, he just made the wrong call. What does that mean for Collingwood going forward? Who can replace Houston? I've seen a couple of people suggest that Perryman go down back, and I'm just going to tell you that that's a dumb idea, right? I'm just going to come out and say, stupid idea. Because Perryman is just absolutely killing it in the midfield. I think he featured in about 70% of the centre bounces in the game against Carlton. He's having, what did he lay, 8 tackles or something, a game high 8 tackles or something like that. And he's that Tom Mitchell prototype that we need, that we've been missing last year. So putting him down back doesn't help us at all. There's a couple of candidates that can come in, right? We can have Will Hoskin-Elliott come back. You know, he could play a halfback role if we need him to, but he's a role player. He can play whatever role we sort of need to. We have seen him off the halfback line quite a bit of time. Or the person that I want to really, really, really see, who's impressed me so much, and if you watch my training videos and stuff like that, you would know, is Will Parker. Could Will Parker find his place in Dan Houston's spot in these next 2 games? What I want to see is how well he does on Sunday in the VFL, and see if he can put up that spot, because Sunday now is the dress rehearsal, even though a Sunday to Friday game is a 5-day rest. So can the players get themselves up for a Sunday VFL game and a Friday game? What I probably dare say is that whoever plays on Sunday and gets picked on Friday, they will be the sub. Craig McRae did mention that Ned Long probably won't be the sub next week. fingers crossed he's not the sub next week because he's done so much and just incredible, right? Doesn't deserve to be the sub. Not that it's, a blight on your game, but I just hate the sub rule so much. So whoever plays on Sunday and plays on Friday, you would think would be the sub. Another guy that we could look at is Markov. Maybe Markov plays, a half against Coburg on Sunday, and then we bring him in for that sort of leg speed against Sydney and against Brisbane. But that would be my three candidates. I don't think TJ, that's his sort of role. Like, it could be, but with TJ's disposal efficiency, I just think Parker, Markov, or Will Hoskin would be better suited for that. I would love to see Joel Cochran play, but again, he's not that rebounding defender like Houston is. He's more if like Billy Frampton, we needed to replace Billy Frampton or Darcy Moore or one of those players. Another one could be Jacob Ryan. So there's actually, a bunch of players that could replace him. So Sunday's game, all eyes will be on that VFL game because it's going to be really, really interesting. So I'll be there and I'll do another a video like I did last time. I'm really enjoying going to the VFL, and this is going to be all eyes now on them because out of that whole Carlton game, that would be the only blight. That would be the only person that I can't see playing next week. So obviously they give Jordan DeGoey a rest, so that's fine. So it will be who will fill Dan Houston's spot. Who do you think will fill Dan Houston's spot? I'll put up 4 names. Give me one of those names or pick another. We got Will Hoskin-Elliott, Will Parker, Jacob Ryan, Oleg Markov. Who do you think out of them could replace Dan Houston? Or do you have some other ideas? Do you want to see other players from other positions move around? Let me know your thoughts all down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.